This became my favorite technique in recent weeks. You can apply the effect to text, photos, maps, screen recordings, and so on. In the process of learning this effect, you will basically be learning basic 3D composition. Let's get into Fusion, and let me point out something that is really important when learning 3D in Fusion. These here are your 3D nodes. They are ordered in the way that they need to be connected, which is pretty cool, I think. In this tutorial, I'll be using a screen recording. So we will drag and drop an image plane, a 3D merge, a 3D camera, and a 3D renderer. The image plane, it has two inputs, scene input and material input. The scene input is the orange one. It needs a 3D scene, so we're not going to use that here. The green one is where we will be connecting our 2D media. It will basically bring our 2D media into a 3D composition. Without the image plane, you can't use the media in 3D space. Then you need a 3D camera, which is pretty self-explanatory on the surface. Think about it as your viewpoint. In 3D environment, you can't just be moving around your canvas. So if you like to maybe zoom in, zoom out, you will have to be zooming in and zooming out the camera. But to make all of this respond to one another, you can't just be connecting the both or using a regular merge node. You need a 3D merge or merge 3D. This is the hub of your 3D composition. It's where all of your 3D elements meet and basically talk to each other. You can have many 3D merges. You don't have to be combining everything into one. But just remember that the very last 3D merge in the whole string needs to be connected to a 3D renderer, which is our final ingredient in our 3D recipe. The 3D renderer basically brings everything full circle. You started with a 2D image, which you had to bring to a 3D environment. And now in order to view all of this, you have to bring it back to 2D. So every 3D composition ends with a 3D renderer. Now let's go into animating all of this. Basically here, we'll be adding keyframes to the positioning of the camera. Adding keyframes here is no different than adding keyframes in a regular scenario. We just go to the beginning, set a keyframe so it remembers the value for that particular point in time, then we move in time and set a different value. All right, now let's go into the animation itself. So now that we have connected our 3D composition like this, we need to use the two window viewer here. If you don't have it, you can click on this button right here and it will have the two monitors. On the other one, we would like to have the render 3D, and on the left one, we will have the merge 3D. So we can see both our camera and our image plane, which displays our footage in 3D space. So basically here in the left, we will be doing the animation, and here on the right, we will be seeing the result. Now, like I said, basically we're just going to be adding keyframes to the 3D camera. So select the 3D camera, open up the inspector, go into transform, and we will be keyframing all of these values over here. Not necessarily all of them, but we're gonna set a keyframe for each of them. Our first value will be set at the beginning of the frame. By using these handles, I can readjust the positioning of the camera, or by using these scrollers here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press on the keyframing on each of these. Make sure you're at the beginning of your clip, and then I'm going to start somewhere. If you see over here, this means that we're going out of our canvas, so you have to always keep in mind. So once we've set how we want our camera to move and we've added our keyframes, if we just leave it like this, it will be pretty robotic. So we have to go to the spline, check on this marker here, and because you won't be able to see all of your keyframes, hit here on zoom to fit and then select all of them simply by dragging, and then click F on your keyboard, which will smooth them out. Connect your 3D renderer to the media out node and go back to the edit page. And this is our final result. If you like your animation but you would like it to move a little bit faster, when you render it out, just readjust the speed of your clip. Hope you guys like this video. For more like this, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, send it to a friend maybe, and I'll see you in the next one.